The Hazendal Festival brings together artists, scientists and cultural practitioners to think, create and debate together about the important dynamics affecting our shared world. The festival's first soil edition is curated by Khanyisile Mbongwa, who brought together leaders in the fields of art, music, culture, fashion, theatre, dance and academia to reflect on the cross-cultural and cross-disciplinary meanings of soil. It bridges disciplines featuring contributions from different people that will explore the fertility and stories held in soil through unique installations and performances. Joining us now is the curator of the festival, Khanyisile Mbongwa, to tell us more about it. A very good morning to Khanyisile. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning, Simpiwe and Njani.
Siphilile kunjani?
Siyaphila.
All good, all good. Let's talk about the theme soil. What significance does it hold in our shared world?
Soil is an archival space, it's a repository where everything that has happened to this world is sitting in the soil. And also it is where we return to when our life force no longer can exist on this plane. This is where we return to. And so I think it's quite important for us to think about soil in terms of ecological grief as love, to think about soil from a perspective of repatriation, which is the sacred return to mother, and to also think about it from a place of inheritance, thinking about what we've inherited together collectively and what do we leave behind as an inheritance for those who are yet to come.
Khanyisile, for those who may not necessarily understand the connection between soil and this festival, how do the cross-cultural and cross-disciplinary meanings of soil manifest in this festival?
So we've invited scientists and artists and cultural practitioners exactly for that reason, to have them all gather in one place to create a community in practice where they're all engaging with soil from these different perspectives, so that we can have elements of the spiritual, we can have elements of the scientific, but also elements of culture and tradition, because we live a full life, right, as human beings. We're all sort of engaging and moving and interacting with soil on different levels. There are people who are farmers. There are people who, have to go through certain traditional and cultural and spiritual journeys, and they go back to soil. They gather at the ocean, they gather in the mountains, they gather in forest. And it's quite important to think through these different perspectives and how we can engage, but rather maybe even create an entry point. Where can one enter to start thinking about soil from a different perspective, and not only to think about it as this textile body where we just extract things, but also to think about it from places of fertility and repair. How can we repair earth and soil in order to repair ourselves? Because if we don't take care of this inheritance, essentially it won't take care of us. And we need to think about sort of the ecology of existence together.
Yeah, you're quite right there. And, when you speak of soil, it is a multicultural and multidisciplinary concept. And seeing that you've invited all the artists in the creative space, who is this festival aimed at? Is it just aimed at them in the creative space, or just about anybody who has a vested interest in soil in one way or the other?
Yes, anybody can come. I think, if you're a curious human being, if you are someone who's just wanting to also experience and explore things that are different, to what you normally do in your everyday life, I think this is the place to come to this weekend, where you can enjoy just art installations, where we have quiet places where you can sit, where you can enjoy a glass of wine, listening to some really good musicians, playing, where you can have a picnic, where you can watch a sunset. I think it's really open to anybody who wants to just have also just a good time, and be grounded and just chill with your friends and family. We have a children's also program where we have theatre plays by Asitej, and we have workshops for children for printing and mosaic run by Fatima Luke Mohammed. I think it is quite open. We really wanted to create a space where we can really think and work on how land, can be a shared hopeful future, how land or soil can be that place. And I think we wanted to think about everybody, from the youngest person to the eldest person, that we can actually gather and commune together beyond age, beyond race, beyond culture, and really cultivate a space of cross-pollination. And our desire is really to see how this space can be an alchemy for possible narratives of hopeful futures on the African continent.
I suppose this festival has injected a new dynamism, when it comes to the whole culture of festival. I mean, what really inspired the concept of the Hazendal Festival, and why the focus on soil for the first edition?
Yeah, I mean, what inspired is that, Hazendal has, Hazendal's notion for land is about responsibility. So as a wine farm or wine estate, they wanted to see how can they actually, create a space that keeps them accountable, but also how can they create a space for contemporary African culture, together, like what does contemporary African culture from science to arts to cultural practice look like? And also what we wanted to do is really think, for me, when they invited me, I was like, well, the first thing actually to do is see where are we gathering? Mm-hmm. What is holding us? What is this place that we're saying people should come to? And for me, it was like, we need to speak to the soil. We need to hear what the soil wants to do. And so I spend a lot of time just listening and walking around the estate. And then, the soil spoke and says, this is what we want to do. We want to gather people. We want people from different perspectives to gather in commune. We want to hold a sermon. We want to summon a gathering, and then talk and speak and be in what I call deep time conversation with the soil and with people.
And it would take a genius, I would imagine, ukubamba inkonzo and bringing such a diverse group of artists, scientists and cultural practitioners under the same roof, on the same platform. How did it do that?
I mean, I think, sometimes we have to also give credit to our ancestors, the people who've been here before us, who create pathways, who've left us blueprints on how to summon a gathering, and I think the invitation to me, I think has been brooming, for the people who are like the family foundation who runs the farm. They were whispered into that, like, something like this needs to happen. Bayaleziwe in a way. And this is the person you should bring. And, I can't take all the credit. I think the people who are participating, who are open to the call, who heeded my call to say, yeah, I think we should come together and form a community in practice where we're in dialogue with each other. And so the genius is not just with me. I think the genius is with everyone who was brave enough to say yes. Like brave enough to say, yes, we'll come and do this with you.
Okay. Yeah. And having said that, what role then do you see interdisciplinary approaches playing, in terms of addressing global challenges?
I think we need to think beyond the box. We need to think beyond our own imagination and how we create our own particular worlds. We need to think, because we don't exist alone, right? Like, we have to think about there are other people, there are other species, we need to think beyond human race. We need to think of all life forces. And because we're such a dynamic people globally, we need to start thinking of how can we create a space where we can hold each other? What does it mean to co-create spaces? What does it mean to think about lateral care? What does it mean to think about repair? Repair of ourselves, repair of the earth, repair of each other. And and this is why I work with rematriation, because rematriation is an indigenous perspective that really is about returning to sacred mother, returning to sacred womb, which the late Babu Credo Mutua speaks about, that in order for us to really, hold space for each other, we need to return to our womb, whether we are women, whether we are men, regardless of how we identify, whether we're queer, non-binary. What is important is that returning to our sacred womb, because when we do that, we ground ourselves and we start to understand the photosynthesis of how a tree grows, that a tree, when it grows, it first grows down into the darkness of the soil underneath, and then grows up, and that's the photosynthesis, and that's how we really need to think.
Okay. Khanyisile, this is definitely will be one for the books. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful Saturday. And please come to the festival, come and enjoy with us.
Indeed. Thank you. That was Khanyisile Mbongwa sharing the vision and insights on the Hazendal Festival's Soil Edition. We look forward to this groundbreaking event.